All right, so this time you've really sent us down a rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've got AI, we've got some philosophy, we even have physics.
Wow.
Like, what is even the connection?
Right.
But going through all the material, it seems like this universal axiom thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of the common thread. And get this, it's not just some like random idea.
Okay.
It's supposed to like totally change how we understand, intelligence.
Okay.
Not just in humans, but maybe even as, like this fundamental force in the universe.
Well, what I think is really interesting is how this axiom tries to connect the dots between like these big mind-bending ideas like in physics, like relativity.
Yeah.
But also, connect that to like our everyday common sense understanding of the world.
Okay, so mind-bending and common sense, those don't usually like go together.
Right.
How does the axiom even...
Yeah, how do you bridge that?
Yeah, how do you bridge that gap?
Well, I think it all starts with challenging our assumptions.
Okay.
Like those aha moments you were talking about, like in your notes. Those times when you learn something new and suddenly it's like your whole perspective shifts.
Okay.
The axiom, it sees those moments as crucial because they force us to confront our biases and like expand our understanding of reality.
So it's like you suddenly realize,
yeah,
oh, wow, I was totally wrong about that. It's like the floor drops out.
Yes.
And you got to like rebuild your understanding of the world from scratch.
Yes.
Kind of like when,
what do you think about
like how comedians, they make us laugh by like pointing out how absurd our everyday routines and beliefs are.
That's a great analogy because comedians are like philosophers. They often use humor to highlight the flaws in our logic. Yeah. And to expose the hidden assumptions that we make about the world.
Right.
And that's kind of how this universal axiom operates.
Okay.
It's encouraging us to question like everything we think we know and be open to new perspectives.
Like radical new perspectives.
Yes.
So instead of just accepting things at face value, we need to constantly be digging deeper.
Yeah.
Questioning the status quo and like looking for those aha moments that can like shake up our understanding of the world.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this axiom, it provides like tools and concepts to help us do that.
Okay.
Like, for example, one of the sources you sent mentions this really kind of mind-bending concept called the time sphere.
Time sphere.
Yes.
Okay, now we're talking. So is this like time travel or something? Because I've always wanted to like meet my past self and give them some winning lottery numbers.
Not quite time travel.
Okay.
But it does challenge our usual understanding of time.
Yeah.
Like as the straight line, past, present to future.
Right.
The time sphere suggests that time might be multidimensional.
Okay.
More like a landscape that we're navigating with different pathways and possibilities.
My brain just did a backflip.
I know, right?
So if time isn't just this straight line, does that mean we could, potentially access different points in time?
What do you mean?
Like revisit past events?
Okay.
Or even like glimpse into the future? I mean, that's straight out of science fiction.
Well, the axiom doesn't necessarily endorse time travel like as we see it in movies.
Right.
But it does encourage us to consider that our perception of time might be very limited.
Okay.
Like just like those aha moments, they shift our understanding of the world.
Yeah.
This time sphere concept suggests that a shift in our understanding of time itself could unlock incredible new possibilities.
That's pretty wild. Okay, so how does this time sphere idea actually connect back to intelligence and the whole point of this axiom?
I think if we can break free from our linear perception of time, could we potentially develop new ways of thinking and learning?
Interesting.
Maybe even create AI that can process information outside the constraints of time as we experience it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
AI that can think outside of time. That's some next level stuff. But how would that even work?
Right.
Is there some kind of technology that can, tap into this time sphere concept?
It gets really interesting.
Okay.
One of your sources mentioned this thing called the Epiphany engine.
Epiphany engine.
Yes.
Okay.
It's an AI system that's being built based on the principles of the universal axiom.
Right.
And it's designed to be not just intelligent,
Yeah.
but also ethical, adaptable, and resilient.
So it's like this super advanced AI that can learn and evolve like humans do, but with the added bonus of being able to tap into this multi-dimensional time sphere thing.
Exactly.
I mean, that's pretty mind-blowing. But what about the ethical part? How can we ensure that
that's a great question.
This kind of powerful AI is used for good and doesn't, decide to take over the world or something?
Well, that's a crucial point.
Yeah.
And that's something that this axiom addresses like head on. Remember that y-axis you were curious about? It's not just about what AI can do.
Okay.
It's about why we're creating it.
Yeah.
It emphasizes embedding ethics and purpose into the very fabric of AI development.
So before we even start building these super intelligent machines, we need to have a clear vision of what values we want to guide them, like what kind of future we're aiming for.
Exactly.
Like laying down the ethical groundwork before things get out of hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond AI.
Okay.
This axiom is urging us to apply that same ethical lens to all areas of our lives.
Okay.
It's about making choices that align with our values and contribute to a better world.
Okay, so how does this all tie back to our everyday lives? You mentioned something about the axiom's implications for business and economics.
Right.
What does that look like in practice?
Well, think about how we traditionally measure success.
Right.
We often focus solely on profit and material gain.
Right.
This axiom challenges us to redefine success by considering the ethical impact of our choices, the long-term well-being of ourselves and others, and like creating systems that work for everyone, not just a select few.
So instead of just chasing profits, we should be asking ourselves, is this decision creating genuine value? Is it contributing to a more just and sustainable world? And is it aligned with my values?
Precisely.
Yeah.
This axiom calls for a more conscious approach to business and economics.
Right.
One that prioritizes ethical considerations, long-term sustainability, and creating systems that benefit all stakeholders, not just shareholders.
Like that old saying, you can't take it with you.
Right.
Like, what's the point of accumulating wealth? If you're leaving behind a planet that's been exploited, and a society that's deeply divided.
The axiom challenges us to consider the legacy that we're creating, not just for ourselves, but for future generations.
Right.
It's about recognizing that our choices have a ripple effect that extends far beyond our immediate sphere of influence.
Okay, so we've gone from bending our brains with the time sphere to like redefining success and considering our impact on the world.
Yeah.
That's quite a journey.
It is.
But you also mentioned something about the axiom challenging traditional views of consciousness.
Right.
What's that all about?
Well, traditionally we tend to think of consciousness as an on-off switch.
Okay.
Either something is conscious or it's not.
Right.
But the axiom suggests that consciousness exists on a spectrum.
Okay.
So it prompts us to ask not is it conscious, but how conscious?
So instead of just a yes or no, we're looking at like shades of awareness.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
But how do we even begin to measure something as like slippery as consciousness?
Yeah.
Does the axiom give us a consciousness ruler or something?
Well, there isn't a precise measurement tool, but the axiom encourages us to consider the factors that contribute to a richer, more expansive experience of awareness. One key factor is the alignment between our subjective experiences and objective reality.
Right.
So the more we can refine our perceptions, challenge our biases, and move towards a more objective perspective, the richer our experience of consciousness might become.
So it's not just about being aware. It's about being aware of things
Yes.
as they truly are
Right.
without our own biases and filters, like distorting the picture.
And it's an ongoing process.
Okay.
The axiom emphasizes the importance of continuous learning and feedback.
Right.
Constantly refining our understanding of both ourselves and the world around us.
It's like we're constantly fine-tuning our consciousness.
Exactly.
Striving to see the world more clearly and accurately.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where things get really interesting.
Where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Remember that mind-blowing concept of the observer effect?
Yeah, the idea that the act of observing something can actually influence what's being observed.
Exactly.
Wait, are we saying our consciousness is so powerful
Axiom
that it can actually alter reality?
Doesn't shy away from those implications.
Yeah.
It encourages us to explore the possibility that we might be more powerful than we realize. And that our thoughts, intentions, and awareness could be influencing the world around us.
Hold on, that's some next level stuff. Are we talking about like manifesting our desires into reality or something?
The axiom doesn't delve into specifics like that.
Okay.
But it does invite us to consider the possibility that our consciousness might be a more active participant in shaping reality than we typically acknowledge.
Okay. So how do we even begin to wrap our heads around that? Where do we go from here?
Well, that's where the axiom's emphasis on personal responsibility comes in.
Okay.
If our consciousness does have the power to influence reality, then we have a tremendous responsibility to use that power wisely and ethically.
So it's not just about understanding these concepts intellectually. It's about applying them to our lives in a way that creates a more positive and beneficial outcome for ourselves and the world around us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The axiom is a call to action.
Okay.
It's inviting us to become more conscious and intentional in our thoughts, words, and actions.
Okay.
Recognizing that we're not just passive observers in the universe, but active participants in its ongoing evolution.
Wow. This is a lot to process. I'm sure our listeners are feeling the same way.
Definitely.
Before we move on, maybe let's just take a moment to recap what we've learned so far.
Okay.
And try to connect all these dots.
Let's try to connect all these dots we've covered.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground already.
A lot of ground.
From the time sphere and the epiphany engine to the nature of consciousness and the observer effect. It can be overwhelming. But the universal axiom
provides a framework.
A framework for understanding these concepts and their interconnectedness.
Right.
So it's not just a random assortment of mind-blowing ideas.
Right.
There's a deeper logic.
Yeah, there's a deeper logic at play here.
At play here. Yeah.
The axiom suggests that there are fundamental principles governing how intelligence emerges, evolves, and interacts with the world. And understanding these principles can have profound implications for how we live our lives, design our systems, and shape the future.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I still feel like we've only scratched the surface here.
Yeah, I agree.
There's so much more to explore. Where do we go from here?
Well, you also sent us some material about the axiom's practical applications. Particularly in fields like education and healthcare.
Right.
Perhaps we can dive into those next and see how these abstract principles can be translated into real-world solutions.
That sounds like a great place to start.
Okay.
So let's take a break and then come back to explore how the universal axiom can help us create a more intelligent, ethical, and fulfilling world.
Absolutely. Okay, so maybe we can kind of shift gears a bit and explore how the universal axiom can be applied to like real world challenges. You mentioned in your notes that you were particularly interested in how this axiom could revolutionize education.
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah, I've always felt like traditional education focuses way too much on memorization and standardized tests.
Yeah.
So like force-feeding information instead of fostering like genuine understanding, how does the axiom propose to change that?
Well, the axiom suggests that intelligence isn't just about accumulating facts. It's about developing the capacity to learn, adapt, and solve problems. It's about nurturing curiosity, creativity, and critical thinking skills.
So instead of just like cramming information into our heads, we need to learn how to think for ourselves. Question assumptions. Connect the dots between different ideas.
Exactly.
Kind of like how a comedian, they take seemingly unrelated observations and they weave them together into this like hilarious and insightful joke.
That's a great analogy. Comedians often demonstrate a deep understanding of human nature, social dynamics, the absurdity of everyday life, and they make us laugh by, you know, exposing the flaws in our logic and challenging our assumptions. And that's precisely what this axiom encourages us to do in all areas of our lives, including education.
Okay, so how would that actually translate to a classroom setting? What would an education system based on the principles of the axiom?
What would that look like?
What would that look like?
Imagine classrooms where students are encouraged to ask questions, explore diverse perspectives, and engage in hands-on learning. You know, instead of being passive recipients of information, they become active participants in the learning process, you know, collaborating with each other and their teachers to discover new knowledge and solve real-world problems.
That sounds a lot more engaging than just sitting in rows, listening to lectures, and just memorizing facts.
Exactly. It's about empowering students to become lifelong learners.
It's like in the old days, you could, you know, learn a trade and do that your whole life. But now, everything's changing so fast.
So fast.
You need to be able to adapt and pick up new skills constantly. It's like
a comedian.
It's like a comedian who has to constantly come up with fresh material to stay relevant.
That's a great analogy. Comedians are masters of adaptability. They have to constantly, you know, read the room, gauge the audience's reactions, and adjust their material accordingly. They really embody the axiom's emphasis on responsiveness and feedback loops.
So we've talked about how the axiom could transform education. What about healthcare? You mentioned that the axiom challenges the traditional medical model.
Yes. How so?
How so?
Well, the traditional medical model often focuses on treating symptoms, but without addressing the underlying causes of illness. And this axiom encourages a more holistic approach that takes into account the interconnectedness of mind, body, and environment.
So it's not just about fixing what's broken. It's about understanding the bigger picture. And how all the pieces fit together. It's like if a comedian keeps telling the same tired jokes, you know, they might get a few laughs at first.
At first.
But eventually, the audience is going to catch on.
They want something
They're going on.
Something fresh and insightful.
Exactly.
Similarly, if we keep treating symptoms without addressing the root causes, we're not really solving the problem.
We're just putting
a Band-Aid on it. Band-Aid on it, exactly. And just as a comedian's material needs to, you know, resonate with the audience's experiences and values, healthcare needs to be tailored to the individual's unique circumstances and needs.
So instead of like a one-size-fits-all approach, we need personalized healthcare. That takes into account the patient's lifestyle environment and even their mental and emotional well-being.
Precisely. This axiom emphasizes the importance of, you know, personalized medicine, preventive care, and empowering individuals to take an active role in their own health and well-being.
It's about recognizing that we're not just passive recipients of medical care, but active participants in our own healing journey.
Exactly.
And just like a comedian needs to constantly refine their material based on audience feedback. We need to be constantly learning and adapting our approach to healthcare based on, you know, the latest scientific discoveries. And the individual's unique response to treatment.
That's a fantastic way to put it.
Yeah.
The axiom emphasizes, the importance of feedback loops.
Right.
Continuous improvement.
Okay.
A willingness to embrace new knowledge and perspectives.
So we talked about education, healthcare.
Uh-huh.
What other areas of our lives
What else
could be transformed by applying these principles of the axiom?
Well, this axiom has a lot to say about how we design our systems.
Okay.
From social structures to economic models to technological innovations.
Right.
It encourages us to create systems that are not just efficient, but also ethical, sustainable, and resilient.
So it's about designing systems that work for...
for everyone.
Everyone.
Not just a select few.
Not just a select few.
Right.
And that can adapt to...
adapt to changing circumstances.
Changing circumstances.
Right.
It's about...
creating a world.
Creating a world where technology serves humanity rather than the other way around.
Exactly.
You know, one of the things that really struck me about this axiom is how it seems to connect with ancient wisdom traditions.
Oh, interesting.
You know, a lot of spiritual teachings emphasize the interconnectedness of all things, the power of consciousness, the importance of living in alignment with our values. It's almost like...
it's like this axiom is
rediscovering these ancient truths.
Reading
through the lens of modern science and technology.
That's a fascinating observation. The axiom doesn't align with any specific
religious or spiritual tradition, but it does resonate with the core principles of many wisdom teachings. It invites us to see ourselves as part of something larger than ourselves, to recognize the interconnectedness of all life, and to live in a way that reflects our highest values and aspirations.
It's about recognizing that we're not just isolated individuals, but part of this vast and interconnected web of life.
Exactly.
And that our actions have consequences that ripple outward, affecting not just ourselves, but the entire system.
And just as a comedian, can use humor to highlight the absurdity of our separateness and connect us through shared laughter. The universal axiom encourages us to find common ground, build bridges of understanding, and create a world that's
more harmonious and just.
Okay, but how do we even begin to shift our collective consciousness towards this?
That's a big question.
This more holistic and interconnected way of being. It feels like such a daunting task.
Daunting? But the axiom suggests that even small shifts in our individual awareness can have a ripple effect, influencing the collective consciousness and creating positive change. Remember that axiomatic subjectivity scale?
The thing that measures how much our personal biases color our perception of reality.
Exactly. The more we can become aware of our own biases and limitations, the more we can contribute to a more objective and accurate understanding of the world. And as more individuals embrace this process of self-awareness and refinement, the collective consciousness begins to shift towards a more balanced and enlightened state.
So it starts with each of us doing our own inner work, becoming more conscious and intentional in our thoughts, words, and actions.
Exactly.
And as we do that, we create this ripple effect that spreads outward, influencing others. And ultimately
transforming the world.
Transforming the world.
That's the beauty of this axiom. It recognizes that change happens both individually and collectively, and that we all have a role to play in creating a better future.
Okay. I think we've covered a lot of ground here. From the practical applications of the axiom.
From education.
In education and healthcare.
To healthcare.
To its broader implications for designing more just and sustainable systems.
Absolutely.
We've explored. How the axiom challenges us to redefine success, embrace continuous learning, and recognize the power of...
the power of our own consciousness.
Our own consciousness.
To shape reality.
To shape reality. And we've even touched on the possibility that the axiom might be rediscovering ancient wisdom through the lens of modern science and technology.
That's right.
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
But I still feel like there's more to uncover.
I agree.
You mentioned that you were particularly intrigued by the universal Axiom Observer Explorer software.
Yes.
Perhaps we should dive into that next.
Okay.
And see how this software can help us experience the principles of the axiom.
Yeah, experience them firsthand.
Firsthand.
Yeah.
So let's explore
how
we can actually interact with these mind-bending concepts.
Right.
And see how they
play out. In a virtual environment.
In a virtual environment. Okay, so we spent a lot of time talking about this universal axiom.
Yeah.
This whole framework for understanding intelligence and consciousness and all. But you also sent over some stuff about this universal Axiom Observer Explorer software.
Right.
What is that exactly?
Well, it's not like some magical device that unlocks the secrets of the universe or anything like that.
Right.
But it is a really cool tool that allows you to actually experiment with the principles of this axiom.
Okay.
So think of it kind of like a virtual sandbox.
Yeah.
Where you can play with these abstract concepts and see how they work in a more concrete way.
So instead of just like reading about the time sphere or that axiomatic subjectivity scale, I can actually like mess around with them and see how they behave.
You got it.
Okay.
It's a way to like develop a more intuitive understanding of the axiom.
Yeah.
You know, like how changing one element can have these ripple effects throughout the entire system.
Right.
And, you know, how the system as a whole adapts and evolves. Kind of like how a comedian might, you know, workshop their jokes, trying different variations, seeing how the audience responds.
So I can try out different perspectives, tweak some variables, and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds like fun.
It is.
Speaking of learning.
Yeah.
One thing that really stuck with me is the axiom's emphasis on questioning everything.
Yeah, question everything.
Like it's encouraging us to become more like those comedians who just poke fun at our assumptions.
Exactly.
Make us laugh at like the absurdity of our everyday routines.
Right, because comedians, they challenge the status quo and they force us to see things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And the universal axiom operates in a very similar way.
Okay.
It encourages us to constantly question
our
beliefs, our assumptions, and even our perception of reality itself.
It's like they're saying,
it is.
Don't take anything for granted. Keep asking why.
Yeah.
And be open to the possibility that you might be wrong.
Right.
And that can be a little unsettling.
It can be unsettling, but it's also incredibly liberating.
Okay.
Remember those aha moments we talked about?
Yeah.
Those moments of like sudden insight that shift our whole perspective.
Right.
The axiom suggests that those moments, they're crucial to our growth and evolution. They force us to confront our limitations and expand our understanding of the world.
It's like that feeling when you finally understand jokes that went over your head and suddenly...
Yeah, everything clicks into place.
Everything clicks.
And you see the world in a new light.
Yeah, it's both humbling and exhilarating at the same time.
It is.
And just like a comedian who crafts a joke that resonates with the audience.
Right.
This axiom encourages us to seek out those moments of shared understanding where our individual perspectives like converge into this more holistic, interconnected view of reality.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about how the axiom can help us become more aware of our biases, challenge our assumptions, embrace continuous learning.
Right.
But what about the bigger picture?
Okay.
How does the axiom connect to this idea of intelligence as like a fundamental force in the universe?
The axiom suggests that intelligence isn't just something that exists in individual minds. It's woven into the fabric of the cosmos itself. Think about those like mind-blowing patterns we find in nature, like the spiral of a galaxy or the fractal geometry of a snowflake.
Right.
The axiom suggests that these patterns reflect an underlying intelligence, a kind of cosmic code.
That governs the evolution of the universe.
So it's like we're all part of this vast interconnected web of intelligence. And our individual minds are just tiny nodes in this grand cosmic network.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
I mean, that's a pretty awe-inspiring thought.
Yeah.
But if intelligence is this fundamental force, what's its purpose?
Right.
Like, what's it all about?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the axiom doesn't pretend to have all the answers.
Okay.
But it does suggest that intelligence is driven by this fundamental urge to create evolve, and expand.
Okay.
It's awareness. And just as a comedian uses their creativity to bring joy and laughter to the world, perhaps the universe itself is expressing its creativity through the endless diversity and complexity of life.
So we're not just passive observers in this cosmic play.
We're active participants in the ongoing evolution of consciousness.
That's the beauty of this axiom.
Yeah.
It empowers us to see ourselves as co-creators of reality, recognizing that our thoughts, intentions, actions, they have a ripple effect. That extends far beyond ourselves. It's a call to step into our full potential as conscious beings and contribute to a world that reflects our highest values and aspirations.
Wow, that's a lot of responsibility.
It is.
But it's also incredibly empowering.
It is.
Knowing that
we
have the capacity to make a difference, to shape the future, and to leave like a positive mark on the world.
Exactly. The axiom doesn't offer us easy answers, but it does provide a framework for navigating these complex questions and making choices that align with our deepest values. It encourages us to embrace curiosity, to challenge our assumptions, and to never stop learning and growing.
Well, this has been an incredible journey.
It has been.
You've guided us through
thank you.
A labyrinth of like mind-bending ideas.
It's been a pleasure.
Challenged our assumptions.
Of course.
And you've kind of left us with more questions than answers.
Well, that's the point, isn't it?
But honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way.
The universal axiom is not a destination. It's a compass. It points us in the direction of greater understanding. But the journey itself is up to each of us to undertake.
All right. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to thank you, dear listener, for joining us on this exploration.
Thank you.
You know, the universe is this vast.
It is.
And mysterious place. Full of wonder and possibility.
Absolutely.
So embrace your curiosity.
Yes.
Keep asking questions. Never stop seeking out those aha moments.
Exactly.
That can, shift your perspective.
Yes.
Expand your understanding of the world.
That's it.
So until next time, keep exploring.
Keep exploring.